Hi everyone, so today I'm going to talk about Reiki and distance therapies, and this is a talk for the Dublin Mind Body Experience event that's going on over this weekend. So I'm giving a talk today, and then I'll also be giving a talk tomorrow on fluorescences. So what I'm doing today is to make it slightly more interactive and to kind of engage more with the public is I've asked people to leave comments and questions, and I already have some questions from some of my clients. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about Reiki and the distant modalities that I do. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining things, and then I'll answer the questions that I have, and then I'll post some of them in the comments because there are quite a few of them. So if anybody wants to jump on and post some comments and questions for me, you can do that. Or you can even post some questions for tomorrow on the fluorescences or message me with those questions. So I'm going to talk about Reiki. So Reiki is basically a Japanese technique for relaxation and stress reduction. And what Reiki does is it's good for body, mind and spirit. So it works on calming the mind, but it also works on any physical aches and pains that we have as well. And also the reason I'm doing these talks too is because I want to educate people about taking care of their general well-being, their emotional health, their mental health, because in the time that we're in now, we're outside of our normal circumstances, so it's really important to be taking care of us. So that's why I wanted to talk about the distance therapies, and obviously with COVID, with lockdown, we can only, as therapists send the distance therapies. So Reiki is my favourite treatment to do out of all the treatments I do. I've been doing it for 21 years, and I teach Reiki as well, and I'm doing obviously only online classes at this time. So what Reiki does is it's good for the busy mind, it's good for stress, overwhelm and anxiety. And then I'm going to talk about Rahani, and Rahani basically is like Reiki, but it's a lovely pink energy. It balances the masculine and the feminine, and it's a really heart-based energy, so it's really good for any issues of the heart. And then IET, the description for IET is it gets the issues out of the tissues for good, and it removes any energy blockages, and it turns the negative into the positive. So if somebody was, say, wanting to forgive, then you would be able to work on them in a way to help them release the forgiveness. So then I do sound healing, and I'm going to grab my tuning forks here and just let you have a look at the tuning forks. So this is sound healing. So this is the 174 fork, and this is the fork that can be used throughout the whole sound healing treatment. So you start with this note, and then you're going to work up to this note. So I use this solfeggio set of tuning forks, which are more a spiritually based set. They are a harder set to use, and there are 9 forks in that set. And basically it works along the same way as Reiki with the notes of the chakras C to B. So that would be 174 fork, and then this is your root chakra fork. So you can hear the difference then in the tones and vibrations of the fork. So when you're doing sound healing, it works along the same principles of Reiki, but using sound. So you're trying to bring harmony and balance into the body using sound. Good for sciatica, back pain, and it's a very deep treatment, sound healing. So if you really wanted to shift deeper rooted stuff, that's when you have your sound healing. And then so there's IET, Rahani, Reiki and the sound healing. Those would be the distance therapies that I would send these days. So then I'm going to actually now go in and talk about a little bit more about the distance therapies and the questions people have asked me. So one of my clients actually had asked me if, how do you know if you have energy blockages, and how do you remove those blockages? So sometimes a client will be aware of their own energy blockages, and sometimes they won't. So even if you weren't aware and I was working on a client, I would always be able to pick up the energy blockages. So that's why it's really good to have sessions during this time that we're in now, because sometimes we would not be aware of our own stuff, and if we go to a therapist, then a therapist can actually help us through the healing therapies like Reiki, Rahani, IET, sound healing, to actually remove those energy blockages and general aches and pains. So it's really good if there are blockages in the body, if you know them, and say you're a Reiki practitioner, you can work on yourself, or go to a therapist and get them to help you remove the energy blockages. because I will always know. So even if a client didn't tell me, I would be able to know what was going on within their own system. And then also one of my clients, Stephen, had asked, how do you prepare for a distance Reiki session? What do you do to prepare yourself for the session, and then what you do after the session? So how you prepare yourself for a session is, I can do a Skype call with my clients, or you can just lie down for 30 minutes. And then if I'm doing a Skype call, I will guide you through to take 2 or 3 deep breaths to actually release yourself when you're lying down. And I go in and I do the session, and then at the end, I will turn back on my camera and unmute my phone, and then I can let you know what I've found. So that's a really good way to kind of prepare yourself for the session, where you lie down in a comfortable place, a place that you're not going to be disturbed. You take a few deep breaths and you really relax yourself. And I can help you to prepare for the session by guiding you through that, or you can just get into a space yourself where you're able to do that as well. And then again at the end of the session, taking a few deep breaths as well to actually bring yourself back into the here and now, and to release any negative emotions, any toxins after having the session. So that's how you can prepare for a session. And then just giving yourself that time, the time that you've set aside for the session, to not be on your phone. You can put on some music, just having a time that's your own space, just to go away and take that half an hour for yourself, and just focus on what areas do I want to work on, what areas do I need the energy sent into to release any emotions or blockages or aches or pains. And then I also was asked as well about crystals. I was asked what crystals are good for if you have a busy mind, and then anxiety over the heart chakra. So for a busy mind, I would use crystals like your grounding crystals, your snowflake obsidian, your hematite, your pyrite, your smoky quartz, your red jasper. Any of the kind of red, brown grounding crystals are really good for bringing the energy down from the head into the feet. And then for any issues kind of the heart, my favourite crystal would be lepidolite. It's a lovely one. It's got natural lithium in it, so it's a really soothing, gentle crystal. So that one's really good for the heart chakra. And then also you can use green aventurine rose quartz. And then I was also asked about I actually was asked some other questions about essences, but I'm going to leave those to tomorrow. And then I was asked actually another question about how crystals are formed, so I'll actually answer that in the comments section as well. So basically that's just what I wanted to touch base on today, was basically how the therapies work, what I do, and then again, as I said, if anybody has any comments, they can post them here. And also, then another question actually I was asked, I knew there was another question that I was asked, was how often should you have a distance session? And so I would say to people, it really depends on the client, because some people have sessions weekly. I've had clients who've been with me for several years, they just have their session weekly. Other people, it's once, every 1.5 to 2 weeks. Other people, it's a month. So I would say the frequency for a session is anywhere between once a week to once a month. And I would always say to people, don't go any further out than once a month, because then it's like if you come back every month or so, then it's like you're having to start the session all over again. So if you keep that frequency between once a week to once a month, then you're really going to shift through whatever you need to shift through. And then tomorrow I'll be talking about how the essences will actually help us to work alongside the different therapies or modalities that I do, and then how you can bring crystals into work alongside with the therapies as well. So those were just some of the questions that I had been asked today. And then also all the questions that have been asked, I'll put them in the comments so people can read through those and I'll answer them. And then over the next few weeks, I'll be doing some other talks for some of the other Body, Mind, Spirit events that are being going on over the next month or so. So I will actually be doing talks for those. So if you wanted to tune in and listen to those. So any comments, ask me. If you need help finding a crystal, choosing a crystal, anything on essences, any questions on any of the therapies that I do, please let me know. And at this time, all my therapies are sent distantly, but remotely. And when you're having a session distantly, for me, it's like I'm working in the room with you, the clients. So for me, the sessions are really powerful. And they are a shorter session because they are so strong. The sessions are very strong. And I would work on new clients. And when I send a session, they're quite amazed at what they what is picked up. And I say to some clients, if you've never had a session before, you don't have to tell me anything, and then I work on them, and then I let them know what I find at the end of the session. And they would be quite amazed, because I had a client that I'd come to some of my classes, my yoga classes in the past. I used to do restorative Reiki yoga classes, and she'd come to those in the past, obviously before COVID, and she'd had the Reiki, and it really helped her back. And she was a little skeptical about the distance therapy, and I said, okay, well, I'll go on Skype. I'll do a session for you on Skype, which is a new thing for my clients, and some of the clients really like the Skype. And she had a session, and she just afterwards, she just said, yeah, I feel lighter, and she could feel it, and you could just tell by the look on her face that, she looked brighter and lighter, and she had really felt that. So I always say to clients, if you don't know what a session is like, or you're not sure, always try one session, because then you'll get to know what it is, and you'll get to experience it. So I always say, try one session, go from there. And I also do offer discounts on Block of 3, and I also have a online shop at this Mind Body Spirit Experience event as well. So I have an online shop with crystals, and you can purchase fluorescences through me as well, and I've got crystal bracelets. So basically with me, when I do a distance session, it is just as powerful as me working on somebody one-on-one. That's how it feels for me. And I just work on the person like they're right there with me. And that's the beauty of doing Skype, because I can be working on the client as if they're in the room with me, and work on them, the way I would as if I was doing a session face-to-face. So that's just the beauty of it. That sound healing, Reiki, Rouhani, IET, they're just as potent in a distance session as they are on a one-on-one session. So I'm going to post the other questions that I've been asked. I'm going to post them on here in the comments, and people can read them. And then if there's any more questions or comments from me, I'll answer those as well. So thanks for listening, and take care and stay safe.